Senator Gwenda Gataya, Tharaka Nithi County, is here with me in studio, and Douglas Milu, who is the Speaker of the County Assembly of Makueni. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Karibu sana. Let me start with you, Senator. From the experience Nancy Okwara's in Turkana, Senate Mashinani was there a week or so ago. What can you relate so far?
Thank you very much, Olo. I'm happy to be around. This is our historical TV station. We have been with this KBC for quite some time.
Karibu.
It's true that the Senate Mashinani was in Turkana I think 2 weeks ago, and it was a very warm experience because we were able to interact with the locals. We were able to check on quite a number of projects. Bearing in mind that Turkana is one of those counties that really get a lot of money from the Exchequer. Actually, Turkana enjoys around 10 billion per year, and we were supposed to go and check on whether that money has really been able to transform Turkana, which has been historically been branded as one of the most neglected counties in this country. But of course, what we saw was not what was expected, because we found quite a number of projects that are installed for quite some time. And you know, the rural folk is still languishing in poverty. There is no water, there is no electricity. And we made some very serious recommendations. As I said, that those that are charged with their responsibility will make sure that we have the prudent use of the money. Must get to Turkana and get to know why we have not seen what has been taken to Turkana being put into any prudent use. Actually, we declared Turkana a crime scene. There was quite a number of projects that were started by the previous regime have not been completed, and we deduced a lot of evidence that quite a number of contractors were paid money for the works that were never undertaken. So we explored quite a number of issues because we went there and we transformed ourselves into committees. We had the committee of the CPAC, where I sit as a member. We had the committee on energy, which was also supposed to check on power. We had the committee on lands and so many other things that we saw. But I can authoritatively report that what we saw in Turkana is pathetic. And anybody who is supposed to...
What you saw is pathetic?
Very pathetic.
Okay.
Yeah. That is the conclusive remark that I would want to make. It's not... There is no reflection, there is no indication that Turkana gets the money that it gets. So something ought to be done. So we have to implore towards the EACC, the DCI, to make sure that Turkana people get value for their money.
That's a serious indictment even to the governor or even the previous regime moving forward, because devolution is here 10 years later. Over 120 billion shillings, and you're saying there is nothing to show of.
Nothing to show in Turkana. Turkana, you know, Rondo itself, the capital city of Turkana, there's a very big river there called River Tagwell, which has not been utilized at all. The Turkana and raw power is just 3 kilometers away. There is no electricity in Turkana. Most of the people in Turkana enjoy electricity through generators. It's something very pathetic, something that we really got into confusion because we could not understand how 10 years down the line, millions of money have been poured into Turkana, nothing to show. And of course, there's a very big gap between the locals and those elites and those people who are in power. Because the general notion is that people get money from there, those who are in leadership, and transfer that money to big towns in Kitale, in Eldoret, in Nairobi, and that's where they put up some big buildings. So it's something that ought to be scrutinized.
Now, that's a lot of work for you as a Senate. As an oversight role. You'll have to do something. Speaker, getting that information from Turkana, how is Makueni? Are you also in the radar from the Senate? Or Makueni is doing pretty fine?
We are trying in Makueni. I'm serving as a second-term Speaker. From the year 2017 to date, I was re-elected. And I can authoritatively confirm that we may not have ghost projects in Makueni County. I think this is attributed to leadership. There are some governors from corporate world or from our sectors who have not been at the co-founding of the Constitution of Kenya. And we must be lucky as a county of Makueni to have had a governor who was at the core of the Constitution. The former senator from Makueni, Senator Mutula, having been elected as a governor, also understands devolution very well, and also depends on the background and ethics of individual and how one has been brought up in society. So if one has been rogue as a child in secondary school, in field practice, and then you end up being elected, that cannot change you. You cannot perceive human as human if you didn't perceive them as such before. But that's one. Two, the proximity to the city, the institutions that are charged with the responsibility of oversight, other than the county assembly, name them, the Auditor General, Ethics and Anti-Corruption, the Senate, National Assembly, watchdog committees, the distance between here and Turkana, comparatively, Makueni, Kajiado, Murang'a, Kiambu, and Nakuru, they are closer to Nairobi. And the proximity to the city has something to do with how we relay information, how we get to account and oversight on the things that we do. So that explains why some counties that are disconnected from the city and the central systems of oversight and the watchdog, the public watchdog, has to do with that.
Yeah. Because
you must realize that the Senate Public Accounts Committee, Senate Mashinani, had to fly from the city to Turkana. That explains that the senator can be there hardly once or twice because of the challenges of traveling and transport. He has indicated that one has to find a better life in Kitale, Nairobi, and other places. So CECs, every other time they'll be here, the county assembly committees, depending on the literacy and their capacity and ability to oversight the executive is completely different, a different matter. So that is expected, and so, the challenges of the evolution.
Yeah, you've raised this question, and Senator, allow me just to ask you, so what are some of the conclusions that you find anytime you do the Senate Mashinani? Because talk about 120 billion shillings, 10 years later, there's nothing to show about in Turkana. What's the general outlook as you go across the counties? What is the missing gap?
I think, the idea of devolving, of course, services and funds to the counties was a brilliant idea.
Yes.
But I think we missed some arrangements that the country was not as prepared. We had not put those institutions in place because it's like we devolved corruption.
Yes.
We have many billionaires in counties. We have many kingpins in counties. Because if you go to Turkana now, you try to relate the 120 billion that Turkana has been able to receive for the last 10 years of devolution, and what is on the ground is totally contrary. I don't know for what reason. I think I would want to buy what my brother, Honorable Speaker, just said. We have some challenges, especially in those far-flung counties, the northern frontiers and so forth, because of some logistics.
Yes.
Because now it would be very risky for any entity, maybe the EACC or the Auditor General or the Senate Mashinani to even to drive to Turkana. But of course, that one should not be an excuse, because the government should put some mechanisms. Where we are supposed to periodical checks. Once you give people 10 billion in Turkana for 10 years, 120 billion, then there's nothing to show for that money.
That is 10 billion
per year.
Per year, yes.
We are talking about almost 120 billion. If you look at the magnitude of that money and what is on ground, is very pathetic. And that is basically why, as a Senate, we have created a system through which we are supposed to be at the forefront. We didn't want to see for ourselves what is this that money is doing that we are supposed to devote to the counties.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we are going to go to Mandera or to Wajir for that matter, or to Makueni or to Tharaka-Nithi where I come from. So basically it's to enlighten people, because I can authoritatively say that once the time that we left Turkana, people were very much enlightened. Because in another time when we were supposed to inspect our projects, we used to attract a very big crowd. And we did these things openly. The locals were shocked because some of these things they never even knew. That accountant quarter, which was supposed which was supposed to have been completed in the last 3 years, is still stored. Money has been stolen. Money has been embezzled. Nothing to show. The governor's residence was started in 2014. A contractor came there, put up some funny structures. It was paid around 216 million and left. So the place was abandoned. So the locals could not even gotten that information. But when we went there, because we did this publicly, the locals were too much agitated that this kind of money was paid from their coppers and nothing to show for that building. So I think it's a way of enlightening people. But of course, we are calling on those entities. The institutions are supposed to make sure that we are creating oversight. Because away from the Senate being the agent that oversights counties, we do not have power to arrest, we don't have power to prosecute. We just make recommendations. And we hope the recommendations that we made to EACC and the DCI are going to be implemented for that.
Have you gone to Makueni County?
Not officially.
When are you planning to go to Makueni County?
Not officially.
Or that's under your wraps. You don't want to tell the speaker.
Not officially. Not officially.
You might hide the files.
But of course, I've had some very beautiful stories from Makueni. Because I remember when the former governor was there, my brother Kibwana, you know, we had some very positive stories from Makueni. Actually, I think that was the first county that had started some manufacturing. I don't know, for fruits. Mangoes. So I think we had some very positive stories from Makueni. Maybe Makueni is one of the counties that we are going to sample in the near future, so that maybe we can go and see whether what they say is what they do.
All right, Speaker, you have a lot of work to do. All right, let's go to the traffic as we usually do. I know it's a holiday and most of you... A lot is happening in across the country, across the world, and perhaps we can just relate what's happening between the international community there. Let me start with you, Speaker. What do you make of this? This is a country that's made of, you know, when we talk of Israel, we all know what Israel is made of. We always look at Israel and say, we wish that we'd be like that, but they don't have peace. Probably, what do you make of this kind of story, Speaker?
Do we have peace in this country? Yes, relatively.
Right.
If you see what is happening over there, it is conflict, and it's not the first time. It has been there over time. There has been ceasefire. And the conflict between Israel and Palestine dates back, if you read the Bible, you can see there has been a conflict. But strictly speaking, for those of us who've been the class of political science, is that all this conflict is a result of fight and struggle for resources. Resources, that is the ownership of land, to extractions of minerals, and then dominance, leadership, and then power. And it's not going to end very soon, because there's also diversity in matters of religion, from Christianity to Muslim, and exploitation of the people. If you go to the side of Mars and find the people who are being used to fight for the governments and the owners of the capital, you find the powerless people, the trained soldiers who are not very literate as such. And therefore, there is exploitation of the human capital in pursuit for exploitation of resources for the owners of capitals in every state in the world. Yes.
Okay. And Senator, when they say that when your neighbor's house is on fire, please don't sleep. Check on what's happening. It might just spill over, because when those two countries are not stable, then it means that even other including African countries who depend on Israel or even Palestine will not have stability. Ripple effect.
You know, Laura, I have been to Israel 3 times. I have lived in Jerusalem. I have stayed in Jericho. I have been all the way to that strip called Gaza, Gaza Strip.
Then what's the problem?
The problem is historical, because if you go to a city called Jerusalem, we have 2 governments. Actually, Jerusalem is governed by both Palestinians and Israelites. The municipality is under Palestinians. The other administrative units and other sectors is under Israel. Jericho is pure in Palestine, and it's one of the dirtiest towns that I've ever seen in the world. Yeah, Jericho.
What do you mean?
You know, Palestinians are just like, there is no rule of law. I think they are just like, if you go to Jericho, the amount of temptation. There's a very big market, an open market where all sophisticated weapons are sold openly. Almost like a strip of about 2 kilometers. They are there selling AK-47, all sort of guns, S11, name them. They are there in Jericho. Just near Mount of Temptation, you know the biblical Mount of Temptation. So generally, there is no rule of law. Two, we have some serious external influence from the superpowers, the Americans, the Russians, and so forth. Because all over throughout the history, we have some elements of competition. Who is more powerful? So if you try to be powerful, we try to bring you down. We bring you enemies who are supposed now to deplete you. So what is happening is we might think that maybe it's boundary issue, land issue, and all these things. But all through, Israel is an enemy of so many other superpowers. And quite a number of superpowers have not been comfortable with what is happening in Israel. So they have been trying to make sure that Israel doesn't claim that it's powerful, and you know those are serious international perceptions that we are supposed not to interrogate. But of course, you know, Israel borders Syria, borders Palestinians, and you know there's a lot of confusion. It's something that we have to interrogate from a very, very, very microscopic perspective.
All right.
Yes.
All right. That's just that. So, gentlemen, today is the 10th day of October, and Kenyans are celebrating Utamaduni. The president will be heading that function at the Bomas of Kenya from around 10 or thereabout, so we should be expecting that live feed from the Bomas of Kenya. Now, let's talk about politics and development. The president has been out there in Nyanza for the last 4 days, and a lot of the political, in his tour, people say that it's development tour, but a lot of them, other people will say politics usually takes center stage. So gentlemen, I want us to take on this. We are in 2023, and having a disconnect between politics and development is always a very thin line. You're politicians and you know this. How should we distinguish between politics and development? When a president goes somewhere, we should treat it as a president, he's visiting a particular region for development, but then again, politics can never be put under the carpet. Speaker, how do we handle this? Politics and development in 2023.
You know, the scholarly definition of politics is, by David Easton, is authoritative allocation of state resources and values. That's one definition of politics. In African context or Kenyan way of defining politics is going to podium and speaking and luring politicians, voters to vote for you. And just what you've cited, the presence of His Excellency the President in the Luo Nyanza area in the last few days, is his politics and government, that is doing politics, is practicing politics, is a product of a political process where voters have voted for him. And therefore is purely allocating resources and values because it's a position of power. And then to amass power, to get the crowd, to get the polling, persuading those who did not vote for him, so that then he should be seen to have all Kenyans behind him. He should persuade the Azimio leaders and the Azimio strongholds, and by so doing there must be exchange of goods and services in the marketplace. So the marketplace is exchange of government programs and projects to persuade voters on your side. Of course, it is a right of every Kenya to access these services, but that must be tricked. It is wrapped with politics. So it's inseparable. In actual practice, you cannot separate politics and development in the context of a government. Politics is everywhere. You just go to church, you find that there's conflict over resources and you have to make decisions and all that. That is politics. And that is completely different from politicking. And I also want to clarify that there's a difference between politicians and political leaders. The president is not a politician, but he was behaving like a political leader who is engaged in a development exercise. But the outcome of it is political persuasion, or what we refer to as a political capital. And then many times when you want to give a dog a bad name and kill it, you refer to the Honorable Senator as a politician. And when you want something good from him, you refer to him as a political leader.
That's a the
outcome, as a mheshimiwa or a political leader. So it depends on all this. But strictly speaking, what is happening is 2027 politics. It never stops. Yes, never stops.
Senator, how do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line, if at all there is?
You know, we must make some flashback because you know, we have been around for quite some time. Even for those of us who have not been around, we have some points of reference where we can make some reference. In Kenyan context, it is where you get into a political position, you are elected by the people, then the winner takes it all. Right?
Right.
The president has set a very good example. The current president is the President William Ruto. He has set a very good example by word, by deeds, because he has stated categorically that never again shall any part of this country be neglected because of the way those particular people voted. Because we entrench democracy in this country. Democracy is that spirit of giving people the freedom to choose, freedom to decide, freedom to think. And that one should not be construed to mean that when you vote in a particular way, then you are neglected or you are sidelined or you are abandoned or you are not part of the government. Because that was the essence of democracy, where people can express their feelings without any element of intimidation, without element of being coerced. And the president has demonstrated that so. He has gone to all those areas that are perceived to be not supporting him. We have seen him launch very mega big projects in Nyanza, in Ukambani, in Mombasa, and in other part of this country. Because today, Mheshimiwa William Ruto is the president of Kenya. It doesn't matter who voted for him, who did not vote for him.
Yeah.
So as much as we are saying that we are politics, we are addressing the current situation in this country, where every citizen has a right to enjoy the fruits of being a taxpayer.
Yeah.
So away, that's this misconstruction that we are trying to grab people who never voted for him. But of course, those people who are not saying already part of the country who never voted for His Excellency the President have all the fundamental rights to enjoy it.
I'm told we need to take a quick break.
Like any other country.
Yes. All right. I'm told we need to take a quick break. When you come back, I'll just circle back with you. I want us to interrogate that. This is the time that the president has visited Nyanza, almost 3-4 times since he was sworn in office. So the biggest question is he going to make it? Is he going to sway the voters? Where others have not made it per se. We'll be right back with that after this. Stay with us. Okay, and welcome back. It's now 8 a.m. For some of us, we don't have a choice. We have to be here. We don't have a choice. We have to be here. But anyway, that is the situation now. We are continuing with our Eye on Politics today, people in politics rather. And I'm joined by Douglas, who is the Speaker of Makueni County, as well as Mwenda. People call him More Fire. He'll tell us why he's called More Fire. More Fire. Okay. Speaker, at the end of the day, the question of development and politics will have to play a key role. But then now, will the president strike that battle where others have failed? We all know how in Nyanza usually, when it comes to election and how they vote. How is he going to balance this time around? Much as development is taken there, he's the president, he's taking everything there to their doorstep. But is he going to make it where others have failed?
Well, in my view, the president was in Nyanza and Lake region to commission projects that have been completed. So the projects must have been initiated a while back, between 2013 and more so between 2017 after handshake to 2022. Now, ever since he was elected in office, it is not possible for the current administration to have initiated a project worth billions and be completed for commissioning. The only thing that he can do is to launch projects that were budgeted under the previous regime.
Yes.
So is commissioning, there are low-hanging fruits, these commissioning projects that were initiated at the period of the handshake between Uhuru and Raila Odinga. Remember, the relationship between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga was to consolidate the Nyanza votes together with central votes with a view of developing the so-called Azimio. And I talked about politics and development, how they are used as an instrument of persuading voters for those in power. So I don't think he's likely to. He has no choice other than to go to Nyanza because the only place that you have is a completed projects. Recently was in Kiambu, commissioning a road project. Many times is in central Kenya. He has a reason to be there. He has no reason to be in Makueni for whatever reason. Why? Because all the national government projects that were initiated that time, they are stalled. And therefore, unless he's coming to jumpstart one, there's nothing to commission. So strategically, he has to go to visit counties and regions where your projects that are complete to confirm the statement that has been indicated that every Kenyan has a right to services. That's going to happen. But again, look at it. His statements are completely different from those of Deputy President.
Yes.
The Deputy President has reiterated and indicated that goods and services will be closer to the people who voted for that administration.
Says
again,
shareholders.
politics, shareholders.
Yes.
Again, politics and development. What is he trying to do? As long as you come from the central region and Mount Kenya, you're likely to get more than those who did not vote for this administration. And therefore, using political instrument and statements to consolidate the Mount Kenya votes for purposes of 2027. So the politics is an instrument that is being, development is being used as an instrument. So what the president is saying is completely different from what the deputy is saying. Never again this country will be divided. But the deputy president, no, we acknowledge you come from Mount Kenya, we acknowledge you come from this country, you either voted or did not vote, that's a fact. And therefore we cannot be equal. So that's a contrast, and I think the president has been contradicted by the deputy. However much they wish to state that they are together, it's evident that the statements are contradictory. It's either strategy or things are falling apart.
If there's a strategy or things are falling apart, the senator might not agree with that because he comes from the mountain region. Is everything okay there? Is there a crack in the mountain?
I have not avoided any crack. We know we are not inspecting for any. We are not even working to having any. No, we have created a perception that any time when you have an ideology that is not going to be acceptable to another person, maybe there is a crack. And I've had a lot of talks, maybe from different corners, different institutions, and even journalists that maybe the mountain is in trouble, and then maybe we want to bring it together. People are fighting and all these things. I come from a mountain. So I can confess, I can confirm, I can relatively say authoritatively that we are at peace. Nobody is fighting who, nobody is fighting anybody in Mount Kenya. I think we are doing well and we are very comfortable. Away from the statement that my brother just issued, that the deputy president issued, that we are talking about the shareholders. But of course, the whole idea was to say that there are people who work. We cannot deny the fact that there are people who work for this government. You know, we had a lot of infighting. People are being arrested, people are being persecuted, there were a lot of things that were taking place before the elections. So I think basically the deputy president was just talking from that perspective. But because there are people who really never, he has been subjected to a lot of torture. You remember he was one time stripped naked even before the children, right? You know, there were a lot of interests, right, are surrounding those elections and so forth. So I think that basically was saying that you people really worked for this government because nobody could believe that Ruto would be the president today. Nobody, even from the people, because people went around and saying we are the deep state, we have the system and all these things, we are going to take the government. I think the president was reacting just out of that. And there are people who really
and we all know how dangerous that is. The president speaking point A and the deputy speaking point B.
But of course, you know, the president is the symbol of unity for the whole country. So he has to demonstrate that those levels of making sure the country is together.
Okay.
But of course, the deputy president didn't mean that we are not going to take development to those people who never voted for us. The whole idea was to say, okay, we are people who really work towards making sure that we have this government. So there's nothing wrong as when you work for something, then you are rewarded. So I think I don't think whether the whole thing was advantaged.
All right, the way he said, either strategy or deliberate. But let me just put it this way. I'll come back to that. The president has made his trip to Luo Nyanza for 3, 4, 5 times, 3 or 4 times since he was sworn in. But the question is he going to sway the voting bloc towards 2027 general election for the Luo Nyanza to support him? Others have failed. when they were in a grand coalition, with Uhuru Kenyatta. They tried to bring that. It did not work out. Last election did not work out. How is it going to work out this time around?
Basically, what we need as a country is peace.
True.
That is very basic as a country. I'm happy with the executive president. I'm happy, extremely very happy with what the executive president is doing. Because, the intention, that's resolve, even to bring on board people who never voted for it. He stated categorically that in Homa Bay, he got 25 votes, 25, 1, 2, 3, 25 votes. But he has been there almost 3 times, 4 times now. Taking Mandareo, taking development, opening roads, launching mega projects. And that itself is a clear demonstration that executive president is an exceptional person, away from other regimes that we have seen. Because initially what we used to see as a country is that once you get elected, you become the president, you zone the country. Those people never voted for me, you just put them aside. Those people never give me votes, you put them aside. Those people never did that, you don't even appoint them in government.
Yeah.
So I think what executive president administration is a clear indication that he is trying to bring the country together, away from what we are trying to perceive, maybe in 2027 goals, or whether the Luo Nyanza will support him or not. But basically, as a country, we need peace, and I'm very sure you can even confess that the president enjoyed a lot of support, a lot of he was putting crowds in Homa Bay, in Migori, and any other place that he went. So I think that's a very positive indication that the country is moving in the right direction. So we are trying to move together. Maybe in 2007, when 2007 it comes, you increase the number of people who are likely to vote for him from there.
Okay.
So basically, I think we are happy as a country that the president has not been able to neglect some areas, to put aside some areas that were perceived to be in the opposition. So I think it's a very positive move, and I would want to encourage the president even to go to other places, including Makueni, where my brother, Honorable Speaker, says that there are no projects there. The president is very explicit that we are going to make sure that we are going to bring everybody on board, including those people as perceived to be the opposition. We are not going to leave anybody behind in that aspect.
Perfect.
Yes.
Elections is one thing, campaigning is another, development is equally another thing. How will the president combine all these three for the success come 2027, if that is the target? Speaker.
The president has a constitutional responsibility to play the role of head of state and a symbol of unity. As to whether that transforms to following is a different matter. And as to whether that will transform to votes is completely a different matter. I'll give you an example. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta was faulted when he went for an handshake at the famous Arambe Avenue by the deputy president that time who was the current president. But President Uhuru had a responsibility, just like President Ruto now, to be seen, not to favor or discriminate any part of this country. Whether that will materialize to votes in 2027, it doesn't matter. Remember, strictly speaking, the Kenya Kwanza administration was voted by a section of society in Kenya, and predominantly in the Rift Valley and Central. So the president must be seen as a head of state walking out of his comfort zone where he has quite some good support and bring the rest of Kenyans together, which may not go very well with some of his supporters. Now, question 2 of it is the development. The development that is in those regions is budgeted for. But how was it budgeted for? Was budgeted through a political process in parliament in a marriage of the President Uhuru and Raila Odinga, and not in Ukambani, and not in Coast, and not in other places, for purposes of 2022. Now, the
2022?
2022 that time.
Okay.
Because the previous budget, resources were allocated on Lakeside for purposes of persuading the Azimio and formation of Azimio. It was a political process and development. And that did not happen in Ukambani. Remember the Thwake Dam, as we speak at the moment, is told. More than about 4, 5, 6, and other counties, you find that the so-called flagship project that were commissioned or launched in 2013, 2017, when the president and the deputy president that time, Uhuru and Ruto, were in white shirts, that's told. how come then you have such projects in Nyanza that have been completed, were about to be commissioned by the former president, and the current president is in it? So he's just playing a role as a head of state, putting the country together. As I said, we require peace. And as a president, you require peace, both nationally and internationally, to look like you are in control of things. As to whether you're in control politically, that may not be an issue. The division is going to be there because everyone in Kenya has a right to associate politically, whether for or against. But I can tell you, Gideon Moi comes from Rift Valley, but he got negligible votes, 0 votes. So depending on the superpower, because Kenyan politics, the superpower is the tribal king, the voting patterns will be alongside the tribal kings. I can tell you that the current president will command votes in the political region of Rift Valley, and so central, someone is going to come up, name it in eastern. Those who went against the Wiper party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, Alfred Mutua, Ngilu, and they are now in political oblivion. In Nyanza, Raila is there. Is he out? Not yet out. Can you penetrate directly to Nyanza region? Because that is Kenyan politics. My answer is no. It depends on how whether Raila or Molo Odinga will be active or not that time. For now, you can see there is a signal. There must be a go-ahead. All the governors are around the president, and they are not afraid of being tortured or being told that you're associating with the current administration. They're told, okay, these are good, these are coming home, it's all right, just go there. Mobilize many people in large numbers. Let the president feel he's at home. Let him spend at the state lodge for purposes of the development of the people. That has to happen. So it depends on who is playing which cards. Because again, the resources are not sufficient, and therefore it is important that actors on stage must use whatever instrument that they have to lobby for the little resources that we have in this country, in the interest of the person and the community and the voting blocks that they do command.
Okay. So what is the president's style of politics? Somebody said that he has got a bit of Raila in him, and a bit of Moi in him, and a bit of him in him.
You know,
Mambo ni matatu.
We need to agree
yes.
that this gentleman is a self-made person. Ruto happens to be the only president that has just come from nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere is, of course, nobody knows his background, the father, the mother, who is who, the uncles, and so forth.
Yes.
We can trace Ruto way back when he was in high school and, university and all these things. He came through and all these things. No, so this gentleman is systemized. So he has seen all the regimes, including Moi regime that has been there. He has seen Kibaki administration. He has worked with across almost all the presidents. And there is also that unique element in him. Right? That gentleman is a very brilliant gentleman, if you happen to interact with him. If you have been able to listen to his international engagements, he has been to France. He made a very, very, very moving speech. Recently, he addressed the U.S. Assembly and he made a very brilliant speech. And I want to assure you, hello, mark my word, in the next 4 years or so, this country will never be the same.
In what sense?
Yeah.
In what sense?
In sense of development, in sense of everything that we need to do. Because, Ruto is trying to address some very serious historical issues that have been there for decades. Right? Where a regime comes into power, you segregate all the areas that have never been considered.
Yeah.
This Ruo Nyanza we are talking about. Right? Ruo Nyanza has been in the opposition for very many years, since independence. Nobody has ever reached Ruo Nyanza, including all the previous presidents. The only person now who is trying to make some serious inroads, regardless of how the Ruo Nyanza voted is much more the current president.
Yeah.
We can easily brand the president as somebody who is embracing, very accommodative, somebody who is ready to bring people together. Because at the end of the day, the core value, the very basic thing that we need as a country is peace. We want to bring all the tribes together. We run away from this aspect of, you never voted for this government, you are not with us, you are going to put I don't know whether you are out. When we used to entice people to vote for a section of the people through development. In a certain village, there is people bring some electric posts. They are stored there as an enticement. Actually, it was in Ukambani. You can maybe make some reference.
Yeah.
So if you vote in a certain way or you don't vote the way this regime wants, these things are just come. Somebody comes and puts them away. You know those kind of things. So we have had a lot of issues in this country that the current president wants to address. Because the basic...
That sounds like tokenism.
No.
That first of all, you have to dangle a carrot for me to vote for you in the next election.
That's exactly what used to happen, but not for now. Right now, exactly the president is categorical that he really wants to make sure that every part of this country is developed, regardless of the way you voted, regardless of where you broke.
And now this brings the issue of shareholders. Speaker, when you hear the deputy president saying, this is a country of shareholders.
I explained.
Yes, you did.
I explained how the shareholding slogan.
But he's still insisting that this is a country of shareholders. If you voted, first of all, you're going to get your bigger share.
Of course, the president has demystified that notion. That, I told you the genesis of shareholding slogan, where that thing came from. The deputy president was just saying that, of course, there are people who really want for this government. You are here alone. You are not just new in this country. You are here. Yeah. People are being pushed all over. We had a lot of intimidation, including him. When was the deputy president, the Sheikh Alish was the government, a long time ago.
Yeah.
He faced a lot of humiliation across the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how is it going to play out?
Because including the the current deputy president.
Yeah.
He had all the bank accounts frozen. So we had a lot of issues to do with who is who in that government at that particular time.
Okay. Senator, you might be applying the 11th commandment. Deny, deny, deny.
No.
Whether you are caught red-handed, please just
don't deny. The deputy president did not mean ban for this country when he talked of shareholding and all these things. The issue was there are people who really worked for this government, people who sacrificed their lives, people who sacrificed their jobs, people who sacrificed even their time to work for this government. These people should be rewarded. What's wrong with that?
Still sounds more like shareholder.
No.
Subtly put. Subtly put. Speaker.
I think when the president was in Luo Nyanza, he categorically stated that no Kenyan would be denied an opportunity or development. I paraphrase. The deputy president responded.
That was the same day. The deputy president was in Nandi. The president was in Migori County. Same day.
Thank you.
Right.
And he responded and said that he asked no apologies on the statements that he had made earlier on. And he had a meeting recently and he insisted that he's going to ensure that what is meant for Mount Kenya is for Mount Kenya. That he has said. And that is a confirmation from the principal assistant that the position, my position, and so remains, and the deputy president is not her own person. It's either you're speaking the point of the boss or you're deviating. There's nothing in between. So that is either his personal statement and commitment and he has deviated from the principle, or he's speaking for the principle. There's nothing in between. It's on record. Two, it is easy to say that we want every Kenyan to have development equally in every region, irrespective of who and where they voted and the political party they associate with. But again, we live in Kenya. How did the appointing authority make the appointments? Because the cabinet secretaries and the principal secretaries and how they are distributed and appointed the republic and the chief executive, they determine allocation of state resources in terms of human resource, in terms of employment in the civil service, in terms of budget and allocation, in terms of appropriation in parliament. I can tell you a sitting executive has a lot of influence in parliament, and it is in parliament where appropriation and budgets are made.
Yes.
It's in parliament where you approve ministers, where you approved policies, and where you have some numbers, which in this case, the current administration has numbers. And therefore, what is said on TV is completely different from what is on record. What is on record is that for those who worked, they're rewarded. But on TV, on camera, is that every Kenyan is entitled and is equal before the other. When it comes to implementation, it's absolutely different. And as I've indicated, that what is happening in Luo Nyanza, it is not that, it is a gesture to commission projects that were budgeted.
Yes.
on a political journey by former president and former prime minister when they were trying to manufacture the so-called Azimio. And therefore, they're chasing wind. It's a drama. And I can tell you, the multitude of crowds that you're seeing in that particular region, they have a political tonation. There's going to be no discrimination. Just go to the rallies. There's mobilization.
Yes.
Borrow everything. Say that you're going to vote for it. Get as much as you want. When that time comes, we will determine. But I can tell you, I think what is on record is completely different from what has been said.
Yes.
There's discrimination.
There's discrimination.
On allocation of state resources.
When you look at the deputy president speaking, Senator, at the end of the day, somebody will say, you know, okay, they should be speaking the same script, pushing the government agenda, but distance apart, Nandi, Migori County, same day addressing the same issue, but on different side of the mouth. That really shows that the big house is not cool.
So what is the essence of democracy in this country? Why do we have...
this takes us back to when the deputy president, who is now the president, was against the president, who would out of them. It's almost the same script.
Basically what we are saying,
yes.
And I've just stated that the deputy president means well for this country. As much as we are saying, my brother here talks of a cosmetic arrangement that we witnessed in Guanyans and any other president. The deputy president talked about Kenya, shareholding and all these things and appointment and so forth. I want to assure you, on record today, authoritatively, that this government means well for this country. Right? I've been around for quite some time. I have seen governments come and go. I've seen Kenyatta government, who I was not too much into it. I've seen Moi government, I've seen Kibaki government, I've seen Uhuru Kenyatta government. You know, Uhuru was doing well until late the last regime. I think when was, I don't know for what reasons. And you can see here his confessions that there are some projects were started in Makueni that were never completed. There are so many other projects, even where I come from. We have several project roads that were initiated in 2013. Those roads have not been completed because of the political affiliations. Because those people who never went into that arrangement, the cohorts of the Esmio person and the Jubilee person, were abandoned. And that is the worst part of history that we don't want to make again.
Yeah.
Right? So that when you don't agree ideologically with any particular leadership, then you are abandoned. I think that is what the worst thing that we would want wish to happen to this country. I come from Tharaka-Nithi. We have several project roads, right?
Yeah.
Very big institutions.
What are you doing about it, Senator? I mean, the oversight role. I mean, you should be pushing some of these things.
No, basically what I'm saying, we are trying to make some flashback on exactly what happened to that time. That I really want to take to advise my brother that exactly the current regime now doesn't have those affiliations. That you never voted for us, we are not going to work for you. I'm only saying that the last regime which was there really did a lot of mess for this country because there are projects, because you are not, maybe you are not in Azimio, you are not in Jubilee, then you are abandoned. Actually that was the worst thing that has ever happened to this country. And that is the repeat that we really want to have with this country.
All right.
Basically, what the president is trying to do is trying to make sure that we have harmonized. Everybody is on board. All the countries are at peace. And that's why it is all over the country. Today is in Turkana. Tomorrow you find him in Guonyansa, you find him in Mandara. Actually, he's coming to Makueni to launch those projects that we are saying that was installed. Very soon you will find the president there. And will be.
Speaker, you must be happy right now. You must be putting your house in order. Power is coming to Makueni County. Yeah. What's your final remarks as we come to an end? I'm told that we should be finally, we need to go tomorrow.
I don't think the president should visit a particular county for projects to be implemented. Projects that he commissioned in 2013. Malukia Road, Itangini Tower Road, the water stadium. There's no stadium, which has stalled for some time. Thwake Bad. The Thwake Dam.
Which is being, actually, in the next 3 months, people will be...
Which is far from the truth. Far from the truth. It's installed. It's in the process of being, again... It has been going. It has rather taken long. It is out of time. And I remember, unless that we had raised some voice and made some public complaints, in the previous supplementary budget.
What is the biggest issue here?
In the previous supplementary budget.
Why is it stalled?
In the previous supplementary, I can put it on record, it's in the budget documents. Okay. The budget allocation for completion of Thwake, which should have been done by June this year, was removed. Only that supplementary budget, again, something had to be done after some leaders.
What is the budget?
Several billions for completion. Okay. Because the Kenyan government has its share and the African Development Bank has its share. So what I'm trying to say is that the president doesn't have to visit an area so that a project is implemented. It's welcome, and we would want him to come so that then he associates with citizens of Makueni because he's the president. Nevertheless, before he comes, those things should be jump-started because many of those projects were commissioned by himself, 4 or 5 of them, in the count when he was the deputy president between 2013 and 2017. Will be okay. But that aside, we're really looking forward to see a reflection of the words on record. So that then when you allocate, and remember I defined politics as authoritative allocation of state resources in terms of budget allocations, in terms of human capital, in terms of appointment, in terms of the decisions that are made, if they will be fair on practical basis as opposed to the statements that are made on TV, then I think I will then believe that the actions are matching the words.
Senator, you're the big boss here. Do you have hope for this country moving forward in as far as this is concerned? Do we have hope? Things are tough.
Not even a hope. Around. Not even a hope. I have just stated that this country is heading towards the very right direction for the first time in Kenyan history. And I want to remind my brother that I have been private to information that you are Senator, Makueni County Senator Mahanso, has been very categorical in making sure that this work dam.
That is true. That is true.
I have accommodated several times with Treasury, with CS Treasury, who has been trying to seek funding of the same on quite a number of times. So this country, although for those of us who are listening to us, who are watching us across the country, this country is heading in the right direction. I want to assure you.
All right, gentlemen, today is Tamaduni Day. Tukimaliza. I did see you in your normal regalia. I mean,
no, we are going to change. Actually, we are coming here for
What does it show you as a Kenyan? Utamaduni Day. I mean, it's a big day for us. The president should be at the Bomas of Kenya at around 10 a.m. Or 9:30 thereabout. Oh yes.
We are going to join him right away from here.
Okay.
So I think from here we change within the president and make sure that
head to Bomas.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Douglas Milu, Speaker of the County Assembly of Makueni County. Asante sana for coming, and say hi to the people of Makueni. Senator Tharaka Nithi County, representing the great people of the stronghold, Tharaka Nithi.
Don't forget to say the stronghold.
The stronghold, yes. That is Tharaka Nithi, Mwenda Gataya. You hold that mantle, you hold that record. Yeah. I don't know who is going to break it anytime soon.
No, it's there. It's not breakable.
The record is still there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you.
Let's go home and celebrate Tamaduni Day. We are heading straight to Bomas. If you can find time, tukutane huko. Thank you so much for coming. Good morning.
Look forward to welcoming you back here.
Asante sana. All right, good morning. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.